Why is Cade York still on the Browns roster? Well, I'm going to give you 2 reasons why I believe that is the case. Plus, we're going to talk about Joel Bitonio's contract restructure. Does it mean something? Does it mean nothing? But first, today's show was made possible thanks to our friends over at Hecklinski. They've got the best pots and pans in the game. So check them out, hecklinski.com/chat. That promo code chat will get you 10% off, and all that information is in the comments and the description. But today's show is going to discover why Cade York is still the Cleveland Browns kicker. I've got 2 reasons why I think that's the case. And then also, Joel Bitonio had his contract restructure. It's a lot of contract mumbo-jumbo. Does it mean nothing or does it mean something? Let's start by talking about Bitonio, and then we're going to get to the kicker subject in the second half of the show. But the Browns restructured Bitonio's contract to create about $8-ish million in 2023 cap space. So that now has the Browns at $22 million-ish in cap space for 2023, which, by the way, is the second most in the NFL, only behind the Arizona Cardinals. Now, Bitonio did not have his contract restructure so that the Browns can move on. I know that contracts can be very intimidating and they're very confusing, and the moment you think you understand it, you find out you really don't understand it. But he is under contract through 2025. And my guess is this is a guy that's going to spend his entire career in Cleveland and be, not Joe Thomas level, but the Joe Thomas type of offensive lineman that's with the Browns for his entire career. But what does the restructure mean? It lowers Bitonio's cap hit and thus the Browns' overall cap space, or raises the Browns' cap space for 2023. It raises Bitonio's cap hits in the following seasons as long as he's on the Browns. So it lowers for 2023 and raises for 2024 and 2025. Why do the Browns do this? Why do they restructure contracts and lower cap hits for now, but raise future cap hits? Because the Browns are making a pretty safe bet, and that is the cap space in the NFL will continue to go up. Barring another global pandemic, which we saw the NFL cap space go down by 8% in 2021, the cap is just going to go up and up and up. So sure, you've got guys with big contracts right now that take up 10% of your cap space for one season. But when the cap goes up to about $242 million next season, well, all of a sudden that cap hit in 2024 is only 8% of the cap space. So that's what the Browns' strategy is. What the Browns are basing on, what the Browns are believing in, what their overall plan is when it comes to tackling the cap, is they want to continue to kick the can down the road and maximize the current core, which is Myles Garrett, Amari Cooper, Nick Chubb, Deshaun Watson, all these great players in the prime of their career. And they're going to kick the can down the road, and that's going to make things a little tougher in the future, but they also are going to be big believers that the cap is going to continue to go up. So sure, increasing Bitonio's cap hits next year and the following years won't be great when we get to that point. But if the cap continues to go up, it's not going to be as impactful as it is this season. So that is the overall strategy behind the Cleveland Browns, the Philadelphia Eagles, all these teams that, like the New Orleans Saints, that keep kicking the can down the road. They know the cap's going to continue to go up. They have approval from ownership to continue to spend money, so that's not an issue. And they want to maximize their current roster and try and get a championship or 2 out of them while they're all in their prime and not feel like they're being dragged down by the salary cap because they're afraid to kick the can down the road and they can't get more support for all their star players. So that is the overall brass here. I don't anticipate a splash signing coming after freeing up $8 million in cap space. I think the timing is a little interesting, right? If you wanted to free up cap space for this year, one would think you would do that back in like March or April during the peak of free agency when you've got $8 million in your pocket and there are players to spend on. Now there are really no marquee free agents left. So the timing is bizarre, I think, but ultimately I don't think this is a move to go out and get a big name player. There's no one on the market right now that's going to require a big paycheck that you need an extra $8 million. I think the Browns wanted to free up some cap space for this year so they could roll more over into next year, which takes away from their salary cap deficit in 2023. Now, 2024. Next up, we are going to talk kicker options here. What's going on with the Browns? Why have they not signed another kicker? I think I got the answer. I've got my best stab at it, at least. But before we talk kickers, really quickly, let me tell everyone about our sponsor today, Hexclad, because it is time to get rid of your roommate's dirty dishes in your sink and actually get your own big boy pots and pans. And that's where today's sponsor, Hexclad, comes in. They have revolutionized the cookware industry with a hybrid pan that gives you all the convenience and cleanup of nonstick, the versatility of your grandma's cast iron, and a lifetime warranty just in case something happens. Now go to hexclad.com/chat for 10% off and use promo code chat to secure that 10%. Now Hexclad, in my eyes, it checks every single box when it comes to picking your cookware. They are metal utensil safe, dishwasher safe, which recently I discovered not everything can go in the dishwasher, but Hexclad can, and oven safe up to 500 degrees. Now you don't have to just take my word for it. My favorite chef, Gordon Ramsay, this is what he had to say about Hexclad. The sear I get with these pans is incredible. With absolutely no stick, the temperature control is utter perfection, and the cleanup is effortless. I love using Hexclad at home. They are the sexiest pans on the market, so you can score some points at home as well. Stop ordering delivery food and start cooking like a big boy with Hexclad. So for a limited time, you can get 10% off with our special link, hexclad.com/chat. That's 10% off at hexclad.com/chat with promo code chat. All that information is down in the comments and the description of today's video. So let's talk kicker, shall we? And I have a scenario for Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. Let's say Cade York goes 2 for 3 against the Chiefs in terms of field goals. Then what? That's a very realistic stat line for Cade York. Makes from 34 and 39 and a miss from 45. I'm really curious to know what the Browns' plan is if they get not a dreadful performance from Cade York, but a below average performance from Cade York. I think right now it's easy, and this is for myself included, to, no pun intended, kick Cade York to the curb and move on, right? As fans, as commentators, the easiest take, it's low-hanging fruit right now, is to just say, move on from Cade York. And I've been saying it, so I'm guilty of it for sure. But the reason why, and one of two reasons why I think Andrew Berry has not moved on from Cade York, does he want to move on from a third player from just last year's draft class? He's moved on from Perion Winfrey and Dawson Deaton already. Another third-round pick in David Bell is getting outplayed by Austin Watkins, the 90th guy on the roster to start training camp. So if he sticks with Austin Watkins over David Bell, for example, and moves on from Cade York, that's 4 out of 9 players from last year's draft class not on the 2023 roster. That's a big pill to swallow if you're Andrew Berry, to go 1 year later and half of my picks are gone. That's not a good reflection on your draft skills. And I think that is partially why he is waiting to the last possible moment. He is going to give Cade York every possible chance to prove he is the kicker that the Browns took in the 4th round for good reason. That's reason number one why I think Cade York is still on the roster. Another possible reason is, well, Kevin Stefanski has been down this path before. Go back in time when Stefanski was with the Minnesota Vikings. That is Daniel Carlson, Billy, right? The issue with Daniel Carlson is he went 1 for 4 in his game for the Vikings in his debut against the Packers, and that's why they moved on from him. But then look what Daniel Carlson has done since joining the Raiders. After the Raiders saw one man's trash is another man's treasure, well, he has been one of the best kickers in the NFL. He is kicking 89% field goal percentage. That is absolutely bonkers. Those are Justin Tucker numbers right there. So Kevin Stefanski has been down this road before where prematurely they pulled the plug on a kicker after one bad game, which is not apples to apples because it's been a bad season and now 2 bad games for Cade York, but I don't think he wants to repeat history. And I also think they are going back to Cade York's college stats, right? And they are reminded of he was good in college. The guy had an 81 field goal percentage, right? He had an incredible leg. He had that big kick in the swamp, in the fog, 57 yards to beat Florida. Like, Cade York was very successful in college, So they've seen it before, right? It's not like this is some soccer player turned kicker. They have seen Cade York make kicks before and make them well. But for whatever reason, even his makes, they look just like lucky makes. You know what I mean? They look like knuckleballs. They don't look clean coming off his foot. They don't look clean hitting the netting. I'm not going to pretend to be some kicker guru. Talk to Jay Feely about that. But the makes don't look pretty, and the misses are ugly. Like, there were 2 kicks last year that he missed that didn't even touch the netting. That's hard to do as an NFL kicker. It's hard to miss the netting. It's a big net. It's a really big net. How do you miss the net? But he did. And so now we have ourselves a predicament. Do you swallow your pride, Andrew Berry, and move on from another draft pick? Or you stick by him for one more preseason game? We're going to talk about the second reason why I believe Andrew Berry is going to wait. But really quickly, make sure to subscribe. We are closing in on our next subscriber milestone, 21,500 subs. Just 100 and change to go. Hit that sub button down below if you have not already. If you're wondering why the Browns have not signed a kicker like Robbie Gould or Mason Crosby, well, one of the facts is they're really in no rush to do it. And now that some time has passed and I've kind of cooled off a little bit after the heat of the moment, after the game, screaming, cut Cade York, all that stuff, it doesn't really matter if you sign Robbie Gould today or you sign him on September 9th. Kickers come in and they make kicks. Like, there's no game plan they have to get caught up to, right? There's no offensive install. It's really simple. Go out there and make the kick. That's all there is to it. And that's the only position in football where that's the case. You can't do that for a quarterback. You can't plug a wide receiver in and say, make the catch. No, he has no idea what the routes are. He doesn't know how to read the defense with the quarterback. But kicker, it's cut and dry. Make or miss. So for the Browns, they're in no rush to add one of these guys because these guys are going to be here in 2 weeks. And he knows that he can sign someone the morning of the game, which you really can't, but still, and they could go out there and they could go 3 for 3, whether they were signed an hour before kickoff or 2 weeks before kickoff. Now, there are some other reasons why I believe Andrew Berry is holding out on signing a kicker, and that is he's probably doing his homework league-wide, and he is checking out some of the kicker battles in the league, right? He's looking at San Francisco, which has a third-round selection. So, the 49ers, after watching Jake Moody's preseason debut and Cade York, at least we can take him in the third round, he's battling with Zane Gonzalez. My guess is they're going to stick by the third rounder, Jake Moody, so Zane Gonzalez could be a free agent soon. How about, who remembers Chase McLaughlin for 2 years ago? He's in the kicker battle with Rodrigo Blankenship. One of those guys is going to lose the job. Maybe Andrew Berry is just waiting for the Bucs to pick a kicker, and he'll take the guy that gets released. Or maybe at the end of all this, I get the kicker that I wanted the Browns to get all along in 2022, which was Cameron Dicker. Dicker the kicker, just because of the name. You can't beat the name. So there are some kicker battles to watch for. The Patriots drafted a kicker, and so Nick Folk, the longtime vet, he could be on the market. And maybe Andrew Berry goes, hey, you guys are all freaking out asking why am I not signing Robbie Gould or Mason Crosby? Because I'm waiting for one of these kickers to be released, and that's going to be our new kicker. And that's not going to happen until Tuesday after the final preseason game. So I think that's a partial reason why, at least I want to believe that's why Andrew Berry has not made a move, because he's got to wait for these kickers to be released from their kicking competitions. At the end, I think the Browns are going to give Cade York one last chance against the Chiefs this upcoming preseason game. If a better option becomes available after roster cutdown days, they'll move on from Cade York. At least I hope so. But there is that big first reason I brought up, which is, does Andrew Berry want to move on from minimum 3 draft picks just 1 year after the 2022 NFL draft? Or is he going to be a bit stubborn? He's going to go, no, we're going to ride this out. We're going to roll with Cade York into the regular season. And if it doesn't work in the regular season, we'll make a midseason adjustment. But I'm not going to panic after a bad preseason. That is, unfortunately, a very viable option. And I say unfortunately because the price of that comes as that's likely going to be a move that's made after Cade York misses a game-tying or game-winning field goal, and that's the final straw that broke the camel's back. The guy I hope to get, if there is a free agent market at kickers, what about Nick Folk? The guy is money within 50 yards. He is one of the most accurate kickers. He is the opposite of Cade York. He does not have a long leg. After 50 yards, it's a 50-50 coin toss, and that might be generous. But within 50, which Cade York has struggled with so far, He's money. He is automatic. So Nick Folk would definitely be a good name to watch for. But let me know, will Cade York be the week 1 kicker? Not do you want him to be the week 1 kicker, but in your heart of hearts, do you believe at the end of the day, the Browns are going to stick by Cade York at least through the entire preseason and give him a shot into the regular season? The way it's trending right now, I'd probably think yes, they will. Let's pick a card to wrap up the show, though. We've got producer Jack Lauder-Ray behind the camera. Jack, which card would you like to go with today?
Let's go with the 10 of Hearts.
10 of Hearts? 10 of Hearts has hit a lot lately, so that's a good pick. I'm going to go with the 4 of Diamonds. I usually pick this card, and I'm mad I didn't pick it today. Ace of Clubs. Ace of Clubs. That's going to do it for us on today's show. If you enjoyed the content, subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff, and we'll see you guys another time.